Welcome to the show. I'm here with Tim. How are you, Tim?
Good.
Thanks for helping. And with Mimi.
Hi.
Hi, Mimi. Now, Tim, your job is pretty intense. You're going to be called the guardian of the black envelope.
Ooh.
Now, I'm going to place it. I know it sounds serious, doesn't it? And it is serious. I've lost several spectators attempting this feat.
Okay.
Rivet your attention on the envelope, but don't touch it. And don't let anybody else in the room touch it. You're the guardian of the black envelope.
You got
Okay?
it.
I mean, don't worry about it because your job's much easier and a little bit more fun. Okay? I'm going to cut little packets of cards off the deck. And if you would, just say stop as I do this.
Stop.
Right there.
Right there.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Would you like to change your mind?
No.
You want to keep the mind you have?
Yes.
Ah, the Two of Hearts. That's an excellent card. I've done this trick a few times where people actually remembered somebody else doing it later, like a year later, like David Coppertone. That bums me out. So to make sure this is on the up and up and you remember who did it, I'm going to egotistically sign my own name on the card. Bob Kohler right across the top. But I want you to remember the instant it happened. Okay? So Tim, do you have a watch on by any chance?
Yes.
What time do you have?
I have 5:46.
5:46. That's a good time. 5:46. And what's today's date?
I don't know.
It's January the 26th.
January 26th. Sorry.
That's right.
I had to think about
You
it.
have to think about some of these things. And Mimi, if you would, here's the last part. Right here at the bottom, I'd like you to go ahead and write your signature. Very well done. Now, this is the only card in the universe, would you cap that, please, that has all this information written on it. Let's hope. Let's hope. So here's the idea. We're going to take the Two of Hearts, and we're going to place it face down into the deck. So you can see it right to the very last second. Now, Tim, when you think about this, and you are going to think about this, remember, the black envelope was on the table. I told you don't let anybody touch it. But it was on the table before Mimi selected the Two of Hearts. So you keep your eye on the envelope, and you watch the Two of Hearts, because here's the idea. It goes right in to the center of the pack, and in slow motion, you're going to see it go all the way in. Watch very carefully. Lost forever. Until I do the maneuver. Here it goes. Mimi, ready? I take it. It's invisible. And I cause it to disappear right over the black envelope. You know why? Because, check it out, folks. The black envelope contains a card, but it's not any card. It's actually the Two of Hearts with all that information on it. And that's all it does. So Tim, have you ever had an out-of-body experience? You know where your consciousness leaves your physical body and goes to a parallel universe?
Once in the 70s, yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I can go out of my body like that
Really?
and come right back like that. In fact, it's so fast you won't even know my body's on its own. Let me show you the experiment, then you'll be a believer.
Okay.
Okay? Now, if you would, hold out your left hand.
Okay.
That would be the one. Hold on to that envelope. Now, I know you have to be ambidextrous to do this, but take a look at the pack and pull out any card at all. It doesn't matter, just at random.
Alrighty.
Something with a little space to write on, perhaps. Ah, the Eight of Diamonds. That's a nice card. So if you would, let me get your autograph so I can sell this on eBay later when you're world famous.
Okay. Well, I'm
Oh,
left-handed.
you're left-handed. Isn't that a coincidence?
There you go.
All right. Well, since that's the case, we're going to rewind a little bit and assume the position. Very good. So I'm going to go ahead and spread the cards into a nice even fan, and I'm going to place your card right in the middle so it gets locked in position. So the Eight of Diamonds is about halfway down from the top and the bottom. And I'm not going to shuffle the card. So if you would, hold out your hand just a little bit higher, and we're going to place the deck right there. Now remember, the envelope was in your possession before you selected the card. Now here's the miracle where I go out of my body. But first, the card goes inside the pack. Now I go into a trance. Man, that was a quick trip. Now what I did was while I was out, in the blink of an eye, between blinks, I took that 8 and I snuck it inside that envelope. So first of all, check it out. There's no 8. There's an 8, but it's not the 8 that you had.
That's correct.
Because inside the envelope, the easiest way to find out for sure is to just look for that signature.
Oh.
And that, in fact, is an out-of-body experience. And you can keep the card, the envelope, and everything to play with for your heart's content.
That's for my signature.
Welcome to my sphere of influence. Sounds pretty diabolical, doesn't it? Well, this little area right here, right now, is under my sphere of influence. In fact, I'm going to use my influence to control your decisions. And I'm so sure about it that inside this envelope is what I like to call the target. It's a red playing card, a single card. No deck, just a single card. And we're going to leave it right there. Now, to make this exciting, because I'm so sure I'm going to get this correct and influence your decisions, I'm going to put a $100 bill at stake. Fair enough? You have to wager nothing against my $100 bill.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I hope this works. So here's the concept. Tim, you're going to make a rational decision, a determination, okay? So if I asked you in a process of elimination to name red or black, what would it be?
Red.
Red, so we're going to eliminate black. Fair enough, okay? Now, Mimi, you get to participate as well because, see, you're inside of the sphere of influence. Okay? Are you tingling?
Yeah.
Let's go. Show's over. I didn't know my influence was that severe. So he said red. Now, out of the red cards, the next elimination is hearts or diamonds.
Hearts.
So we're going to eliminate diamonds. Very good. Very clever. I'm not quite sure. Now I got the 100. You want to stick with hearts or do you want to change your mind? I don't usually do this, but I'm going to let you have a tremendous chance.
Hearts.
You're sticking with hearts. You feel like I'm trying to influence the sphere a little bit too much.
Sure.
All right. Now we're getting down to it, Tim. In the hearts are the picture cards and the spot cards. Now eliminate one or the other. Which one would you like to eliminate?
The picture cards.
Eliminate the picture cards.
Sure.
That leaves us with the spots cards. That's ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mimi, think about this. You have a very important decision. I think I smell the toast burning. The $100 bill is at stake. Now, for the $100, which card do you want to take? The 5 for $100. The 5. Now remember, the envelope was on the table before you said the 5. Hey, I don't touch the money just yet, sir. Boy, he's on it, huh?
Well, you know.
Would it be cool if the 5 of hearts was in there? No, it wouldn't, because you'd lose the $100. That's right. Because the only card that you lose on is the 5 of hearts. And unfortunately, it's the 5 of hearts. And it looks like I win again. Thanks for playing. Are you guys ready for some serious, intense magic?
Absolutely.
This isn't really magic. This more goes into the parameter of mind reading. Because, Tim, what I'm about to do is go through the blunt skull into the center of the, not yours, nothing personal, into the center of the brain, looking for the one brain cell that makes the decision so I can read that cell's contents. That's called mind reading. But don't worry, I'm not going to do it to you. Then just in case of emergency, I have an envelope right here that could become important. Mimi, I'm going to read your mind. Is that okay?
Sure.
Now, Tim, if you would, randomize the deck. Go ahead and give it a quick shuffle.
Randomize.
You know, because I could have ordered the cards or done anything, really.
Yep.
Did I say look at the cards? I've lost control. That's okay. Do you want to get the deck a cut? Because I didn't see one of the cards. Very well done. Now, Mimi, it's your job to ascertain to your own satisfaction that all the cards are different. They're not all the same card. You know, like for the 3 of spades, for instance.
No.
They're all different.
Yeah.
And since Tim shuffled, they're fairly well randomized and mixed up.
Yeah.
Not in a particular order.
No.
I was like, oh, well, just think of one card that you actually saw somewhere inside the pack. Did you get one?
Yes.
Okay. Let me look into your eyes. It has nothing to do with the trick. I just like, you're watching the envelope. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm over here.
I'm watching your eyes. Okay. Here we go. Now, inside the deck. Oh, wait a minute. I got 2 cards. I feel a vibration from this one. 1 card on your mind, 1 card on my mind. I know this looks ridiculous, but I don't wake up until noon. It's a great job. Now, Mimi, think about this. You're the only living human being that knows what card you're thinking of. Is that correct?
Yes.
So for the first time, What card are you thinking of?
8 of hearts.
The 8 of hearts. And out of all the cards in the deck, you thought of the 8 of hearts. Isn't that incredible? It is, isn't it? Absolutely right. Thank you very much.
No
I appreciate it. What?
What?
Oh, you didn't get to see the card?
No, I didn't.
That's because, see, inside the envelope, I had one card. And the interesting thing is, Mimi, it's the 8 of hearts. Because it's the only card that's not in the deck.
Bravo.
Wow, I just got back from the future. It's really cool there. You should go sometime, but it's very, very expensive. I sense a little skepticism. You know,
A little bit.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't have believed it myself, but I brought back evidence. Because if you're in the future, you know what happened. And inside this envelope is my prediction of what I saw. So I'm going to place this under your control. Well, you can watch it, but don't touch it.
Okay.
Now, Mimi, you were in the future.
Okay.
It was cool. Here,
All
take
right.
the deck and deal the cards face up one at a time onto the table. Ah, your technique is flawless. Very good. Now deal as many as you'd like, and don't let me influence you. I want you to feel free to stop at any time at all.
Right here.
Right there? Would you deal the next card face down onto the table? Very important. Now think about this. You could have stopped on any of these cards, and you can notice that each and every card is different from its neighbor. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no doubt about it. Yes. Now, here's the exciting part. Think about this. Remember, the envelope was on the table before she stopped on that card. So if this card in the envelope, the 2 of diamonds, matches that card, what's that card, Mimi? That would be a cool trick. Now it's time to take a peek behind the curtain and learn the secret that makes the black envelope card magic on steroids. There are 2 components that make up the secret to the black envelope. The first part is called the insert piece. It's very easy to make. Start with a card of your favorite back design. Get some sharp scissors, a glue stick, and one of the black envelopes. Now here's what you do. Cut the card like this, a little less than half. Now make a second cut like this. The exact dimensions are not critical. You do want the piece to be at least 3/4 of an inch shorter than an entire card. Once you've trimmed your card to size, coat the face side with a light coat of glue. Lay the glued insert piece on the envelope near the edge. Press down with firm pressure on a flat surface. You should wait about 20 minutes for it to dry. After it's dry, trim the excess from the piece. Try not to cut more than is necessary so that you can use this sacrificial envelope to make more insert pieces. So what's so special about the envelope? It looks innocent enough, but there are several critical differences. First, the envelope is the correct size to easily hide a card underneath, yet not so large as to make it obvious. Second, the color black really helps create the visual retention you will soon create. And perhaps the most important detail is there is absolutely no glue on the flap. This is a very important detail. I found out how important during a show. It messed me up completely. If it's extremely humid or if you keep the envelope in your pocket, the moisture can cause the glue on the envelope to seal. This will put you in a tough situation. Opening the envelope will leave glue residue and pieces of torn paper that will mess up the move. So it's important to make sure the envelope you use doesn't have glue. To get the proper envelopes made, I had to get an entire ream of paper manufactured into 33,000 envelopes. So if you run out, you can get refills at my website at bobkohlermagic.com. If you want to make your own envelopes, you can get black construction paper and use one of the black envelopes as a template. Peter's concept and inspirations was brilliant, but I needed to make a few changes to make the method more practical. First, I changed the shape of the insert piece to what you've just seen. This shape makes the illusion of a full card in the envelope much stronger. Second, I lock it in position with a paper clip so that when you open the envelope, the insert piece is still in the proper position. The reason a piece of black envelope is glued to the face of the insert piece is to help kill any flash during the move. This will become clear in a minute. So here's all the preparation you need to do. Just slide the insert piece inside the envelope and line it up like this. Hold the piece in place while you close the flap. Now put the paper clip over the envelope so that it holds the envelope closed and the insert piece in place. Make sure the smaller loop of the paper clip goes under the envelope. This makes it much easier to load the card during the routines. Now you're ready to learn the insert switch. Now it's time to take a peek behind the curtain and learn the secret that makes the black envelope card magic on steroids. There are two components that make up the secret to the black envelope. The first part is called the insert piece. It's very easy to make. Start with a card of your favorite back design. Get some sharp scissors, a glue stick, and one of the black envelopes. Now here's what you do. Cut the card like this, a little less than half. Now make a second cut like this. The exact dimensions are not critical. You do want the piece to be at least 3/4 of an inch shorter than an entire card. Once you've trimmed your card to size, coat the face side with a light coat of glue. Lay the glued insert piece on the envelope near the edge. Press down with firm pressure on a flat surface. You should wait about 20 minutes for it to dry. After it's dry, trim the excess from the piece. Try not to cut more than is necessary so that you can use this sacrificial envelope to make more insert pieces. So what's so special about the envelope? It looks innocent enough, but there are several critical differences. First, the envelope is the correct size to easily hide a card underneath, yet not so large as to make it obvious. Second, the color black really helps create the visual retention you will soon create. And perhaps the most important detail is there is absolutely no glue on the flap. This is a very important detail. I found out how important during a show. It messed me up completely. If it's extremely humid or if you keep the envelope in your pocket, the moisture can cause the glue on the envelope to seal. This will put you in a tough situation. Opening the envelope will leave glue residue and pieces of torn paper that will mess up the move. So it's important to make sure the envelope you use doesn't have glue. To get the proper envelopes made, I had to get an entire ream of paper manufactured into 33,000 envelopes. So if you run out, you can get refills at my website at bobkohlermagic.com. If you want to make your own envelopes, you can get black construction paper and use one of the black envelopes as a template. Peter's concept and inspirations was brilliant, but I needed to make a few changes to make the method more practical. First, I changed the shape of the insert piece to what you've just seen. This shape makes the illusion of a full card in the envelope much stronger. Second, I lock it in position with a paper clip so that when you open the envelope, the insert piece is still in the proper position. The reason a piece of black envelope is glued to the face of the insert piece is to help kill any flash during the move. This will become clear in a minute. So here's all the preparation you need to do. Just slide the insert piece inside the envelope and line it up like this. Hold the piece in place while you close the flap. Now put the paper clip over the envelope so that it holds the envelope closed and the insert piece in place. Make sure the smaller loop of the paper clip goes under the envelope. This makes it much easier to load the card during the routines. Now you're ready to learn the insert switch. The crux of each routine for the black envelope is getting the necessary card clipped under the envelope. There are two basic ways to accomplish this. You can use subtlety, as I'll do in the signed card to envelope routine, or you can use palming as the method. Now I use two different palms depending upon the situation. If the angles are restrictive, I use a full palm. Most of the time, however, I use the gambler's cup. So first, let's discuss the gambler's cop. I think that this palm is devastating. Performed correctly, it just doesn't appear that it's possible to have a card palmed. The gambler's cop is always done with the card on the bottom of the deck. There are several ways to get the card into the palm, but first let's examine the position the card is in your hand. It's held like this. I know what you're thinking. It's hanging out all over the place. You're right, it is, but there are things you can do to help provide cover. If you're sitting, the best way to hide the palm is to use the table to cover like this. From the front, you can see that it just doesn't seem possible that you have a card palmed. Now take a look at the back view. This is how you hide the card. The same position is possible if you're standing behind a table or podium, for instance, at a trade show. If you're standing, you have to be aware where your audience is located. You have to adjust your position depending upon if they're sitting, standing, or both. It's completely possible to use the gambler's cop even if bad angles exist, if your choreography is well thought out and you don't hold on to the card for a long time. Now here's the position I stay in once the gambler's cop is performed. From the front you can see how open it looks. The only bad angle is on your back left side. Since the card is down low, if I have spectators on that side, I'll simply turn a little bit towards them and make a joke or comment so they don't look down. I know that this may seem bold, but I've used it hundreds of times. What makes the gambler cop so valuable to the black envelope is that loading the card under the envelope is indetectable. Here's how you do it. Pay close attention to the choreography and timing. Let's start after you've palmed the card. Pick up the envelope with your right hand. Turn it over so that the audience can see the other side. Now turn it back over. This is all done with the envelope held away from your body with your arm extended. Now two actions happen at once. Your right hand comes back towards your body in an arc. At the same time, your left hand moves forward, also in a slight arc. In the middle of this movement, the hands briefly come together. As smoothly as possible, load the card under the envelope. Don't worry about getting it into the clip, just get it hidden from view. Try not to break the action. Keep both hands moving. As you continue bringing the envelope back, slide the card under the clip and then continue as the routine you're performing requires. Keep in mind that each routine you will learn will direct you to what you will say to logically cover the load. So here's the easiest way to perform the gambler's cop. Take the deck and place it into your left hand, but not in mechanic's grip, in a modified grip where the deck is flatter and the outer right corner is right on the second fingertip. Now take that second fingertip and pull it in, and that will cause the bottom card to buckle. Simply reach in that gap with your right hand, take the deck away, and that will leave the card in the gambler cop position. Now I'm going to explain how to load a classic palmed card under the black envelope. This can be done surrounded. There are many ways to bottom palm a card. If you need a method, I would highly recommend the second method in Nerd and Ace. It really doesn't matter what method you use as long as you can palm the card deceptively. Here's how I load the selection from Classic Palm. Start with the card palmed in the left hand. Pick up the black envelope and turn to your right and show the audience both sides of the envelope. Now as you slowly turn to the left, load the envelope deep into your thumb crotch. Now here's an exposed view. You're going to gesture, and in the gesture, load the card. Simply flatten out your palm, clip the card with your fingers, continuing the remark and gesture, and simply load the card underneath the paper clip. That's all there is to it. So there you have it. Practice the loads and soon you'll be able to do all of the routines on this DVD. The crux of each routine for the black envelope is getting the necessary card clipped under the envelope. There are two basic ways to accomplish this. You can use subtlety, as I'll do in the signed card to envelope routine, or you can use palming as the method. Now I use two different palms depending upon the situation. If the angles are restrictive, I use a full palm. Most of the time, however, I use the gambler's cop. So first let's discuss the gambler's cop. I think that this palm is devastating. Performed correctly, it just doesn't appear that it's possible to have a card palmed. The gambler's cop is always done with the card on the bottom of the deck. There are several ways to get the card into the palm, but first let's examine the position the card is in your hand. It's held like this. I know what you're thinking. It's hanging out all over the place. You're right, it is, but there are things you can do to help provide cover. If you're sitting, the best way to hide the palm is to use the table to cover like this. From the front, you can see that it just doesn't seem possible that you have a card palmed. Now take a look at the back view. This is how you hide the card. The same position is possible if you're standing behind a table or podium, for instance, at a trade show. If you're standing, you have to be aware where your audience is located. You have to adjust your position depending upon if they're sitting, standing, or both. It's completely possible to use the gambler's cop even if bad angles exist, if your choreography is well thought out and you don't hold on to the card for a long time. Now here's the position I stay in once the gambler's cop is performed. From the front you can see how open it looks. The only bad angle is on your back left side. Since the card is down low, if I have spectators on that side, I'll simply turn a little bit towards them and make a joke or comment so they don't look down. I know that this may seem bold, but I've used it hundreds of times. What makes the gambler cop so valuable to the black envelope is that loading the card under the envelope is indetectable. Here's how you do it. Pay close attention to the choreography and timing. Let's start after you've palmed the card. Pick up the envelope with your right hand. Turn it over so that the audience can see the other side. Now turn it back over. This is all done with the envelope held away from your body with your arm extended. Now two actions happen at once. Your right hand comes back towards your body in an arc. At the same time, your left hand moves forward, also in a slight arc. In the middle of this movement, the hands briefly come together. As smoothly as possible, load the card under the envelope. Don't worry about getting it into the clip, just get it hidden from view. Try not to break the action. Keep both hands moving. As you continue bringing the envelope back, slide the card under the clip and then continue as the routine you're performing requires. Keep in mind that each routine you will learn will direct you to what you will say to logically cover the load. So here's the easiest way to perform the gambler's cop. Take the deck and place it into your left hand, but not in mechanic's grip, in a modified grip where the deck is flatter and the outer right corner is right on the second fingertip. Now take that second fingertip and pull it in, and that will cause the bottom card to buckle. Simply reach in that gap with your right hand, take the deck away, and that will leave the card in the gambler cop position. Now I'm going to explain how to load a classic palmed card under the black envelope. This can be done surrounded. There are many ways to bottom palm a card. If you need a method, I would highly recommend the second method in Nerd and Ace. It really doesn't matter what method you use as long as you can palm the card deceptively. Here's how I load the selection from Classic Palm. Start with the card palmed in the left hand. Pick up the black envelope and turn to your right and show the audience both sides of the envelope. Now as you slowly turn to the left, load the envelope deep into your thumb crotch. Now here's an exposed view. You're going to gesture, and in the gesture, load the card. Simply flatten out your palm, clip the card with your fingers, continuing the remark and gesture, and simply load the card underneath the paper clip. That's all there is to it. So there you have it. Practice the loads and soon you'll be able to do all of the routines on this DVD. This routine uses the black envelope principle in conjunction with a new strategy that I think you'll find devastating. You'll create a duplicate of the signed card right in front of the audience. Well, I told you a little lie. You won't create an exact duplicate of their card, but you will create a partial duplicate of their card that they will assume is the card that they signed. I've adapted some very clever thinking from the world of mentalism and come up with a way to implement information taken during your performance to convince them. Here's the sneaky stuff. You get two cards that are exactly the same. Let's use the Two of Hearts for this example. It's best to use low-value red spot cards to make the writing more visible and easier to see. Now first I'm going to divide the card into 4 imaginary quadrants. With the card in a vertical position, just imagine that from the top to the bottom are 4 divisions. You're going to write in all of these areas on the real selection, but on the duplicate you'll only write on the top 2 areas. So here's what you need to do before the show. Take one of the cards. In the first quadrant, write your name. Now in the third quadrant, write the date of your performance. I use all numbers to write the date, for instance, 1/26/02. The reason is that later you'll be writing the time when the spectators think you're writing the date. I want the writing actions to look the same. Granted, it's a small point, but I don't take chances. So your duplicate card should now look like this. The next step isn't necessary, but you may want to use it. Sometimes I corner short both of the cards at the same time with an emery board on just one corner. Just sand down the corners and round them off to the minimum amount you're comfortable handling so you can find the card. This will help you locate the pair in the deck if you're performing other feats of card magic before this one. With or without the corner short, the setup is exactly the same. Put the prepared two of hearts face down on top of the other two of hearts. Put them on top of the deck. You're now ready to begin the routine. To start, show your audience the black envelope. I like to place it on the table directly in front of a spectator and give him the job of watching it. Now take out the deck. You need to force the two of hearts. This is where most people will tell you to force the card by your favorite method. In this effect, you need to force a position, not a single card. I'm going to show you the way I force this position. You need to get the pair of prepared cards approximately 2/3 of the way down into the deck from the top. If the pair is on the top of the deck, simply swing cut the pair into position. If you've corner shorted the pair, just find them and adjust their position. You need to hold a break over the pair. I use an ancient count force to get to the pair. Do it like this. You're going to cut small packets to the table. You'll either cut 3 or 4 packets during this process. Your pattern is this. As I cut little packets of cards to the table, please say stop. That's it. All you need to do is time your actions so that as you finish the sentence and say the word stop, you'll have cut 3 packets to the table. The spectator will always say stop on the 3rd or 4th cut. Either way you win. If they say stop on 3, the pair is on top of the packet in your hand. If they wait until 4, the pair is on top of the cards on the table. Either way, you need to be holding the packet in your left hand that has the pair, and the other pile is on the table. There comes the first move. It's very easy. Double lift. This shows the blank 2 of hearts. Here's the writing sequence. You're going to make 4 statements. After each statement, you will write on the card. Your first statement is this. This trick is so amazing that to guarantee you remember it was me who showed it to you and not David Coppertone, I'm going to write my name on the card. Now you do exactly that, but make sure it's in the first quadrant and it looks like your pre-show signature. Now I pick up the double and blow on it to dry the ink. This shows the audience the top of the deck. Basically, we're just trying to hide the duplicate card hiding underneath. Now step 2 is to ask, what time is it? Whatever the time is, write it in the second quadrant. You're going to blow on the ink again, but as you do, you're going to switch cards. It's also very easy. Just tilt the deck back so that the audience can't see the top. Take the second card out, which is the prepared 2 of hearts, blow on it apparently to dry the ink, and replace it on the now half-sign card. Keep the top of the deck out of the audience's line of sight and don't show the audience the card. The third step. Ask the audience what the date is. You already have the date written on this card in the third quadrant, so when they answer, write the time in the second quadrant. Show the audience the card and everything will look as it should. This is a very sneaky bit of business that will attack the minds of the analytical. The time is the red herring. The time on the duplicate makes the solution difficult for the spectators to fathom and allows the performer to effectively change the moment the selection apparently leaves the deck and appears in the envelope. The last step is to have them sign the card. The only space left is at the bottom in the fourth quadrant. I just revolve the deck towards the audience, hand a spectator the pen and have them sign. I never let them take the deck since the half duplicate is face up under the card they're signing. Don't take chances. I just hold the top half of the deck to make it easy for them to sign. So here's the situation. You've got one card with information on the top half and a second card with the same information plus the date and signature. You're in a powerful situation. Now I'm going to use the duplicate card to change the moment the audience will perceive the magic has happened. I always look for ways to change the moment the method of a trick occurs, and this routine's success depends on the audience's belief of where the signed card is located throughout the effect. You're now about to make them lose track. Here's what you do. Turn the face-up double over so that the cards are face down. Take the top card, which is the half duplicate, and stick it into the middle of the pile of cards on the table. Out-jog it for half its length. Now turn the table packet face up. Staring them right in the face is the apparent selection with your signature and the time exposed. They must be convinced it's their card. The real selection is under your complete control on top of the packet in your left hand. Now it's time to load the signed card under the envelope. It's very simple. Just don't make a move out of it. Pay close attention to the simple choreography. If you perform the following actions in the proper order at a smooth pace, you'll blow your audiences away. They'll never suspect it. So get a tiny break under the signed card. Now time your actions to your statements. First tell the audience that the envelope on the table was there before they selected the two of hearts. As I say the word envelope, I show them both sides of the envelope. When I say before, place the envelope on top of the packet in your left hand and gesture with the now empty right hand at the card protruding from the tabled packet. Now you're going to load the selection under the envelope. As you pick up the envelope, simply take the signed card too. Just keep it out of sight. Slide the card to the right until the paper clip holds it in place. Once it's secure, toss the envelope onto the table. A casual attitude in handling will win big points. If you don't make this important, the audience will forget you ever picked up the envelope for a second time. Now most of the work is done and it's time to sell the effect. Turn the packet on the table over. Pick it up and insert the entire packet of cards into the cards you're holding. Leave the duplicate sticking out and give them one more look at the apparent selection. Push it in and get a break over it. Double cut it to the top. I do this so that it's in position to get it later if I need to clean up by getting rid of the duplicate. For effect, I give the deck a strong riffle. Set the deck on the table and make a big deal that your hands are empty. There's nothing between your fingers and your sleeves are rolled up. Because you can. It's a beautiful thing. Now pick up the envelope and get it into your left hand. Align the signed card so it's in the correct position for the reveal. Take off the paper clip, toss it onto the table, open the envelope, and perform the switch. Wait for the reaction. Now as they're reacting, put the signed card into the envelope and steal the insert piece. Just toss the envelope onto the table, and under this powerful moment, you can get rid of the insert piece into your pocket. Remember, the duplicate card is still on top of the deck. So pick up the deck and hold it in your left hand. Turn to the left and make a comment to the left side of the audience. As you make your comment, just thumb off the top card into your left jacket pocket. That's it. If you like to palm, an alternative is to just top palm the card as you hand them the deck. The gambit for getting a psychological duplicate is going to find its way into many routines where the signed card appears in an impossible place because it effectively changes the moment. The audience apparently gets one last look at the selection, then almost instantly the selection appears in the black envelope. Remember, speed kills. In my early magic days, I was fortunate to see Daryl lecture at Al's Magic Shop in Washington, D.C. He performed a routine called Out-of-Body Experience. The bad news is it was published in a book titled For Your Entertainment Pleasure, which is sadly long out of print. Now, if you can locate a copy, get it. It's another top-flight release from Daryl. His performance was the first time I had ever seen a routine that used a gambler cop. I have to tell you, I was blown away. I remember once Daryl revealed the method that I just couldn't believe that I hadn't been able to see the palm card. This revelation led me to work on adding the gambler's cop to my toolbox, and I hope this routine gets you psyched up so you master it. The routine is structured exactly as in Daryl's creation. He used a pair of cards as the location the signed card would appear in as a sandwich effect. I've eliminated the sandwich with the black envelope. The other change I've made is to use the spectator's hands to hold both the deck and the black envelope. This strategy makes the routine a perfect walk-around routine, and it also allows me to change the moment the effect takes place. So hold on to your hats for a wild ride. This routine is really direct. You introduce the black envelope and set it on your spectator's left palm. You have them select any card. Lay it face up on top of the deck. Hand them a marker and have them sign the card. So far, so what? Now for some real fun walking on the edge. Take the spectator's card and move it into the center of the pack. Now spread the cards on the right-hand side of it until you have approximately 3 or 4 cards that have a pretty good amount of them showing on the edge. Now turn the selection over and add it to that spread so you have approximately 4 to 5 cards that are the same distance apart. The grip with your left hand is extremely important. Hold it between the base of your thumb and your third finger. That's all you're holding it with. Because you're going to use this third finger as a rail, the cards are going to slide on that finger. Line the selections corner with the center of the deck, and now put your thumb on the second card in, not the selection, on the second card in. This is the grip. Now, as the cards are held in a vertical position to show the spectators the card, you're going to take your hands from a vertical position and drop the deck down into a horizontal position. On the way, when the cards are lined up with their eyes right on the edge, your right fingers pull the selection underneath the spread, hiding it. The third finger, acting as a rail, guarantees that it won't flash from the back. Now, once you're down to the horizontal position, pull the right hand packet away and expose more of the back of the apparent selection. The real selection, as you can see, is under here. This is an exposed view. Now come back and push the left hand packet's cards underneath the right hand packet, but above the selection so that it goes to the bottom. That's the convincing control. So now you can see the signed cards on the bottom, and it's been switched out for the 5 of spades. Now that the selection is on the bottom of the deck, gambler cop the card. Set the deck on the spectator's palm up right hand. Immediately pick up the black envelope and load the card as taught in the chapter on palming. The next move takes balls, but trust me, this really works. Drop the envelope with the card clipped in place on their hand. I guarantee that they won't feel it. They won't do anything as long as you have both their hands tied up holding the envelope and the deck. The trick is over except for the build-up and the reveal. What a power position you're in. Show both hands empty, push the apparent selection and the deck. Show both hands empty again. Now pick up the black envelope and reveal the signed selection. Clean up as before. So it gets locked in position. So the 8 of diamonds is about halfway down from the top and the bottom. And I'm not going to shuffle the card. So if you would, hold out your hand just a little bit higher, and we're going to place the deck right there. Now remember, the envelope was in your possession before you selected the card. Now here's the miracle where I go out of my body. But first, the card goes inside the pack. Now I go into a trance. Oh, man, that was a quick trip. Now what I did was while I was out, in the blink of an eye, between blinks, I took that 8 and I snuck it inside that envelope. So first of all, check it out. There's no 8. There's an 8, but it's not the 8 that you had.
That's correct.
Because inside the envelope, the easiest way to find out for sure is to just look for that signature.
Oh.
And that, in fact, is an out-of-body experience. And you can keep the card, the envelope, and everything to play with for your heart's content. When I'm working in a walk-around situation, I make 10 or 15 black envelopes up. Now I can do the routine over and over without resetting the envelopes. If I run out, I just take a short break and set them all up again. That's it. Bon appetit! This routine is one of my favorites, a card trick with apparently only one card. The secret is both practical and subtle. Plus, I've added a lot of smoke to conceal the moments the dirty work is happening. The professor always told us to eliminate moves and work on other solutions. This routine came from this analytical process. The actual solution is very direct. In simple terms, it's a pocket index that contains the cards, palming the named card, and the usual work connected to the black envelope. But this routine is much more to the audience. From their perspective, the performer shows them an envelope that contains a single card. The envelope is left in front of them. Now the audience collectively decides on the identity of a single playing card. One person selects the color, another selects the suit, and finally one selects the value of the card. Of course, the card in the black envelope is apparently the named card. So first, let's discuss the use of the pocket index. Most pocket indexes are designed to index a complete deck of cards. I discovered for this effect I could get away with using an index that would only give me access to all of the red cards. Now by using a very simple equivoque statement, I could eliminate all of the black cards from the selection process. I'll teach you the equivoque in just a moment. Reducing the number of cards in the index effectively allows you to have a much thinner index. The pocket index you decide on could contain all 52 cards in a deck. I've chosen to reduce the size of the index, and there is a price to pay, however. I have to eliminate the black cards at the beginning of the selection process. There are indexes currently for sale, and many models have been described in detail in books. My particular index will be released as a separate product. Of course, you can only find it on my website at bobkohlermagic.com. The second issue is where you choose to keep your index is your decision. I keep it in my left front trouser pocket. I don't have anything else inside of the pocket except for the $100 bill. You don't want to have any other objects in your pocket because they get in the way. Now, I like this trouser pocket as it provides easy access that's angle proof. Other places such as your briefcase, a doctor's bag, perhaps even a wallet with an index built inside are other possibilities. Now let's examine the selection process. You could just ask a spectator to name any card, and of course, it would be inside of the envelope. Doing it this way robs you of a lot of interaction with your audience and makes the moment you palm the card from the index fairly transparent. I chose to get the audience involved. This eliminates the use of a stooge as a solution, and it gives you an opportunity to interact with the participants and provides much greater cover for the work. Here's the way I use the equivoque to eliminate the audience's choice of the black cards. Equivoque is also known as magician's choice. The basic concept is to ask the audience a question that has only two answers. Your response to the answer they give must appear as it would be the same answer no matter what their response. In this routine, I want to eliminate the black cards during the selection process. Here's how I handle it. Your first question will eliminate all of the black cards as a possible selection. Here's the statement. As a group, we are going to make up the identity of a playing card through a process of elimination. Sir, name red or black. No matter what they say, respond by saying, okay, that eliminates the black cards. You successfully have eliminated the black cards from the process. To hide the equivoque, the remaining questions must remain consistent with the spectator's first answer. If they said red, you acted as red was their choice and therefore eliminated black. So the remaining answers must be handled as choices. If their first answer was black, their answers must be eliminated. The next question is hearts or diamonds. Then, picture cards or spot cards. And finally, from the picture cards or spot cards, which one is your final answer? Their answers will give you the identity of a single card. This procedure gives you a tremendous opportunity to have fun with your audience. Now, I've added the wager of $100 as an emotional hook to do two things. First, the chance that someone may actually win the money will keep the audience locked into your presentation. And second, the $100 bill is the red herring that will provide the reason to go to your pocket or other location to get the proper card at the critical moment. During the performance of the routine, you may have noticed that after the second question, I bring the $100 bill out and show it to the audience several times under the pretense of trying to get them to change their answer. Of course, this makes the routine more entertaining, but it also conditions the audience that getting the bill is a natural action. Once they make a decision that it's okay for me to take the bill out of my pocket, they will never question the moment I palm the correct card and bring it out with the money. The final piece of misdirection is this. When I go into my pocket to palm the card, I always bring out the $100 bill. I transfer the money to my right hand and drop it on the table near the black envelope. I guarantee the audience's eyes will follow the money. Immediately pick up the black envelope and load the card under it as in all of the other routines to conclude. Please give this routine a try. I think you'll find it's a definite showstopper. One of the best uses for the black envelope is as an out. You can use it to get out of many routines if you have a problem. Now, here's one of my favorite strategies. Introduce the envelope to the audience. I usually open the envelope and show them the apparent card. You can set this up as a prediction if you like. Then I reset the envelope in the normal set position. What makes this exciting is you're now ready if you run into difficulty. But, and this is big, if you don't need the envelope to rescue you, you can use it near the end of your act to produce the signed card. It's like having an insurance policy. What this gives me is the ability to try routines that are not always 100% successful. You get to walk on the wild side. You can enter the fortress known to only a handful, the zone of the thought of card. Let's face it, there have been many ways of forcing or influencing a spectator to select a card without touching the cards, just looking at the cards. Many diabolical methods have been published by Dingle, Vernon, and many others. Now, I highly recommend that you do the proper research and read everything you can that deals with this exciting subject. But nothing guarantees you're actually going to get the spectator to pick the forced card. I'm going to explain the way that I do the mental selection process. It really doesn't matter how you choose to do the selection process now that you have the black envelope. Since you have a great ending even if you miss, your confidence will make you hit the selection at a much higher percentage of the time. Here's the way I handle the selection. First, I shuffle the deck. Once the deck has been shuffled, I spread 8 to 10 cards and ask a spectator, the cards are all different, aren't they? They're not all the 3 of spades. This accomplishes 2 things. The audience sees the cards are all different, and it starts to reduce the number of cards that they may choose from later when they are asked to make a selection. I continue spreading the cards and say, since I shuffled the deck, the cards are in a completely random order, aren't they? I spread approximately 18 or so more cards as I make this statement. This eliminates another block of cards because so far you haven't mentioned anything about a spectator thinking of a card. So you have a little less than half of the deck left. The next statement is, so what I'd like you to do is think of any card you see. For the first time, the spectator knows that they have to make a choice. When I say the word see, I spread a few more cards, then I spread the next card a little wider. This is the card I'm hoping they'll think of. I don't know its identity yet, but I'm going to glimpse it in just a minute. Immediately after I flash that card a little longer, I speed up the spreading action so they really can't focus on any other card. Now this increases my chances. Now you must get a small break under the forced card as you spread past it. When I get to the bottom of the deck, I double undercut the forced card to the bottom. Now I'm going to glimpse the bottom card as I say, think about it. No one knows what card you're thinking of, only you. It's very simple. I just spin the deck and look at the bottom card. Now you can remove the card from the deck in many ways. A nice simple way is to do the ancient toss production that removes 2 cards like this. Pick up the deck and hold it with your fingers on the bottom and your thumb on the top. Give a swift tossing action to the right and hold on tight. The deck will fly out from between the 2 cards. Now you know that the selection is the bottom of the 2, so I think it's one of these. Toss the top one away, and this card will be the selection. Now you know what the card is, and they don't know you know its identity yet. So fan the cards in the deck as wide as possible. I pressure fan the cards, but you can do it any way you can. What's important is that you can see as many cards as possible because the deck is your index in case the spectator has thought of a card other than the one on the table. Simply ask the spectator to name the card they thought of. If you've hit it, triumphantly turn it over. If you've missed it, however, the following steps will convince the audience what happens next is exactly what you had planned to happen all along. As soon as the spectator names the card, pick it up and look at it, but don't let anybody see its face. Miscall it and say, absolutely correct. Immediately stick the card into the fan directly under the card they named. Now square up the deck, but let the card stick out a little bit so you can get a break over it, but under the named card. Double cut the named card to the bottom. Now palm the card either in the full palm or the gambler's cop. You've recreated all kinds of mental cover for these actions. So think about it. You've built up the effect, and after they named their card, you put it back in the deck and don't show it to them. I guarantee you that they will say, you didn't show us the card. This gives you plenty of time for the palm. So your answer is, I couldn't show you the card. Remember, I asked you to think of one of the cards in the deck, and the Jack of Diamonds is the only card missing from the deck because it's been in the envelope since before we began. Obviously, you just reveal the card as in all the other routines to bring this to a rousing conclusion. Perhaps the most diabolical principle associated with the black envelope is the one I've saved for last. Be prepared to freak out. Here it is. In the black envelope, I'm going to use a red insert piece, but I'm going to use a blue deck. So how in the world can you use a blue deck with a red insert piece? Try this and see. Get a blue card under the envelope. Open the flap and reveal the red insert piece. Now do the insert switch. You will only see a red card. You won't see blue at all. It's amazing. So here's my favorite routine with this principle. It's a version of the perfect stop trick. First, you have to make a slightly special deck. Get 2 blue decks and stack them in any stack you know. I use size Stebbins. Make sure both decks are exactly in the same order. Take the top 26 cards from each deck and put one packet on top of the other. So now you have a deck of 26 duplicates in a known order. The top card of the deck will have a duplicate at the 27th position. The second card from the top will have a duplicate at the 28th position, and so on. As before, put a red insert piece inside of the black envelope, and you're ready to go. So here's the routine. Introduce the black envelope and show the audience that a red card is inside as your prediction. Take out the deck and hand it to a spectator. Explain that they have a completely free choice, and they do. Instruct them to deal cards face up one at a time onto the table. They will see during the dealing process that all the cards are different. They can stop whenever they want to, but when they decide to stop, they must deal the next face-down card off to the side. That's their selection. Now you need to determine the identity of the card they stopped at. Look at the last face-up card. The selection is the next card in your stack. Take the remainder of the pack from them as you explain that they could have dealt down farther into the deck. As you do this, simply look for the duplicate. Once you locate it, you need to get it into position for the bottom palm or the gambler's cup. I do this by spreading the deck until the duplicate is located. I split the deck into 2 packets so that the duplicate is on the face of the left-hand packet. Now I put the 2 packets together so that the selection stays on the bottom of the deck. That's it. Now turn the deck face down, palm the duplicate, and conclude as usual. What if the spectator deals into the bottom half of the deck? I pick up the dealt cards, locate the duplicate, and basically do the same handling. I'm sure by now you're thinking that my mind is totally warped. Using a stacked blue deck of duplicates to index a red prediction isn't the usual method. Give it a test drive. I'll bet you buy the car.